Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm incredibly honored to have our mayor, Adam Paul, here. Great friend, and really thankful for you as a friend and as a leader in our community for a long time, and particularly now during this crazy season. So thanks for being here today. How did you tell us a little bit about what drew you into politics? I'm curious about kind of that journey a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm a Lakewood guy, born and raised. My dad was a Lutheran minister. My mom was a teacher. Had some different challenges growing up. Lost my parents at an earlier age, and had this sense of public service, and didn't want to do church politics, like as you can imagine. So I figured I'd get into the realm of just giving back through the community, and I started out serving on local boards, and then worked my way into city council, and now into mayor.
Great. I think one of the things that we were just talking about, one of the things I think that drew me to you in our earliest conversations was just your heart for Lakewood, for sure, and then your heart for the most vulnerable. I appreciate that a ton. I didn't prep you for this questions, but what have you maybe learned in this crazy kind of season that we're in?
Wow.
Has there been some things, and maybe not in any order of importance, but just...
You know what, I've learned kind of a reset to some of the basics.
Yeah.
Maybe that some in our generation haven't experienced. I learned that going out and being around people is important, but also solitude and really thinking has been great. I've learned that our community does, in a lot of ways, care and love one another. Mm-hmm. And I've also learned that there's still a lot of work to be done, and there's still a lot that divides us, unfortunately.
Totally. I think one of the things that I've been struck with, and you probably hear it a lot, like, when are we gonna get back to normal? When are we, like getting to life back like we had in January is the goal. And really, what a waste of all this suffering and difficulty if we don't learn and grow from it, right? If our only goal is to get back
just
to where
back where it is with nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So when you think about Lakewood, what are some of the biggest challenges that, I would love your perspective on the biggest challenges that we face?
So, coming out of the COVID issue, certainly, business recovery, people getting back to work, people that have lost their jobs. So those needs they're substantial. And while we've been able to soften some of it with some grant programs or even unemployment, that's not going to last forever. And so when things settle, I really do worry about what happens then. I worry about those that were on the margins or struggling before and are really in a lot of pain. And so that's certainly going to continue to be an issue. And just going forward and looking at equity in our own community, and we see the national scene, and in some ways Lakewood's been immune to it, but we're not unique. Right. Every issue that you see on the nightly news is right here in our community. And so the continuation of coming together and re-looking at how I think of things, or just kind of trying to learn a lot of different things is going to be a challenge for many, but we have to go through that, I think, to get to a better spot.
Yeah, totally. And one of the things that I have just continued to hold on to tightly is that big problems really do have local solutions. And I think about just even the simple command of loving your neighbor, and the vision. I just continue to get back to this vision of, like, man, what if everybody just picked that up and said, hey, there's not going to be homelessness on my block because I'm on my block. And there's not going to be loneliness on my block because I'm on my block. So I think in that kind of level. So when you think about what it means to be a good neighbor, maybe answer kind of how do you think being a good neighbor will actually help maybe address some of those issues?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to brag on you guys because you and this group have been pioneers in it, and you've done it not ever in a way, look at me. Like, I didn't know the ministry that you had prior to some of our homeless initiatives, right? You were doing it and just doing it because that love is what you were preaching. And so all it does is it takes one person to reach out to another person in need and say, hey, I care about you. And I think if we have more of that, I really think that's going to be the change. There's so many structural issues from the top down approach, but if you go bottom up, it's so much more organic, and there's more understanding and more ways to help, and you build those relationships, and that's where the change comes from.
Yeah, because this top-down solution for things isn't going to match all those different issues, but being able to... So I'm trying to remember what I was reading the other day. It was one of the great human needs is to think that someone would come find me, right? And I think think being a good neighbor is just that of like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to engage in you. When I do that, I'm going to find some needs and meet that in reciprocity, right? And then
Sure.
in community, we live between give and take. So
And some of those neighbors are tough to love. We were just talking about that. I've been talking about how I'm tough to love. You know, when you're a politician, there's probably, you know, 49% that don't love you, right? Versus the other 51 that maybe voted for you. So I'm trying to really look at how do we love those that we would consider different or hard to love, or, you know, a cranky neighbor, and really kind of maybe peeling that onion and trying to understand what is going on in their life that's a challenge, and how can we help them.
Oh yeah, I think, you know, when we don't understand what people are going through, it makes them seem irrational. So when people are irrational, I always think, what don't I understand about their perspective or their pain?
Yeah.
Something's happening there that or is a disconnect. And I think you're right. I think we're in this series on Psalm 23, and there's this great phrase that says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." And there was a time early in my faith where I thought that was like a gloating thing, like, oh, look, God prepared a table for me, and aren't you jealous? But really, man, the more I've matured, the more I realize, oh, no, everyone's invited. It's like, He's prepared a table for me in the presence of my enemies. Will I invite them in?
Will I invite them in?
Yeah, am I willing to lay down to not be defensive enough to invite them in, to love them as well? So that's a really...
And I would say don't feel bad if you feel weird about that, or if it's hard. I struggle with that, right? I mean, and you know, when you're hurt or somebody, you know, does something to you, or that hurts, and it's so hard, and that's where that love can tear down those walls, and then you get to that point of understanding, and that's the only thing that's going to get us through all of this.
Well, thanks for taking a little bit of time. I appreciate you praying for you a ton. I can't imagine all those struggles and financial issues that come on top of that with the city trying to solve stuff. So just know we're praying for you and we're for you. Appreciate you.
Hey, likewise, thank you for all you're doing. Keep it up. Truly making Lakewood a great community. So we love you and everything you're doing.
Awesome.
All right, thanks.
Thanks guys for joining us. See ya. Bye.